I've already spent about a week with the Invader Drone on my EDC, and I'm gonna tell you guys, I like it. Gary was right. I mean, Gary of Speedy Tech, he said that if it's gonna be my first time experiencing the Invader Drone, I'm gonna love it. And those of you who are actually in the daily fidget, you guys already know I did an unboxing, a live unboxing, and I was quite blown away by the design itself. Now this is the Wave 2, or basically the second run of the Invader Drones. There is currently a Wave 3 that is ongoing. I don't know if it's sold out already, but at the time of this recording, I do know that some of the Wave 3 Invader Drones are still available. I think stainless steel is sold out. Tungsten is sold out as well. So I'm gonna start things off by talking about the aesthetics of this spinner. This is actually a very simple design, but a very simple design done very, very well. Now, I believe that the inspiration behind the Invader Drone is those triangular shaped UFOs. I think John has this thing for UFOs, I don't really know, but yeah, it's apparently the inspiration behind it. And well, you can see guys that it's not just a flat triangle, it's curved all around. It's got very nice rounded edges as well. These edges have all been rounded very nicely, and you have a curved side angle. I can't even call this a chamfer because it really isn't. It's a side edge or an angled cut, but it is curved. The coolest thing that I like about it is that it features these steps, and the first time I saw machining of these kind of like multiple steps was on the 4-point shuriken by Addictive Fidget Toys, and that one was like mind-blowing to me. So to have this here, it's cool. It's not as pronounced as that on the 4-point shuriken, but it's still there. You can still feel a slight texture, but it really adds a lot to its character in terms of the machine finish. Then of course you have 3 trit slots on each side, and these are pretty generous trit slots. Generous meaning that they are actually machined quite deep and quite wide. So I think it's going to be awesome when you put your 1.5 by 6mm trits in, because the glow is going to be absolutely awesome. You know, you need to have extra space for the glow to bounce off the sides of the trit slots as well. And that's something that I learned from the trip master himself, Vincent Senpai. Arigatou gozaimasu. Next, you'll see these flat edges out here, and these are also comfortable. Here features the machine finish. Here is also a machine finish, but up here it looks like a slight brushed finish on the flats. So it's a very, very well made, very well machined spinner. Now I'll remove the buttons to show you guys the bearing retention method, and it is a wonderful press fit. I'm not sure if it is glued in, but the bearing looks like it's sitting there very nicely, and well, it's a little bit greasy in there. I think that's some lubricant from the bearing itself. That cannot be helped, but you guys can see a very nice deep inset here, so that the buttons can sit in. These buttons, however, I think that these buttons actually might fit on bearing retention method spinners. You know, those with the screw cap bearing retention method? Yeah, I think so, because they look pretty darn tall. Now let's just try that for fun, okay? With me is a Spinnetic DNA Y spinner, and you guys know I love these buttons, these DNA Y buttons. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this button and fit it on the DNA Y, and I'm gonna tell you guys, I'm calling it now, it's gonna work. It is gonna work. Yep, it's working. Look guys, it's working completely fine. So yeah, I called it. These buttons will actually work on spinners with the screw cap bearing retention method. Now, here's the other cool thing. These Spinnetic DNA buttons actually look really damn sick on the Invader Drone. Look at that. Look. Look at that beautiful fit, guys. It's got a very nice concave. You guys already know I love these buttons, but yeah, it just changes the character of the spinner altogether. And those of you who actually have your DNA spinners, you do know, right, that they come with spare buttons. So you could consider using those buttons on the Invader Drone as well. Back to these buttons themselves. These buttons are very well made. I like them, number one, because they are dedicated male and female buttons. But number two, they have these nice, thick, concentric circles with nice flats over here. And each concentric circle is technically a step deeper into the middle. So that actually kind of acts as a little dish as well. Very comfortable to hold and not sharp. Certain spinners that have buttons in this kind of fashion with these thick cut lines, they actually do feel a bit sharp on the edge, but this one does not. So very good job altogether in the machining area. John, wonderful job. Now I'm gonna give you guys a size comparison first before I talk about the fish stability, because I believe that they are really directly correlated. This is the Invader Drone next to a stubby. It is slightly smaller than a stubby, but it being a tri or triangular kind of design means that it's going to be wider than a stubby for sure. But in, you know, the pure height alone, it is still shorter than a stubby. So that makes for something that is not too big and not too small. And because of that size, I would not classify this as a mini or a micro spinner. I would classify it as a normal sized spinner, although it is very, very pocketable and it looks like a very, very cool shield. With that said, let's talk about the fidget stability. Now these angled edges here actually lend you a very, very nice resting spot for your finger to flick with. Look, pullbacks here, no problem. Push forwards, even when you start out here, no problem. And because this is pretty small and because of the size of it, it's very, very comfortable even if you're fidgeting with your fourth finger. You don't really need too much strength because it's not overly heavy. Now changing up the grip to a middle finger and thumb grip, fidgeting with the index finger is not a problem as well. It is quite a breeze actually because everything here is curved very nicely, not too curved. So it provides you with a pretty comfortable area for your index finger to land, but not being overly curved to the point that you keep slipping out. See? So yes, it does slip off a little bit sometimes, but not as much as some other spinners. So this is actually pretty comfortable. Fidgetability wise, I would say that it's not the best. It's not the best, but it's very comfortable. Well, it's the size that actually makes it very comfortable. The size and this shape and the overall, just the overall roundedness of the whole thing, that's what makes it very comfortable. So I would give this about a 7.5 out of a 10. For fidgetability. Not the best, but very, very comfortable nonetheless. These buttons also allow for a nice table spin, and the bearing themselves are a 10-ball hybrid ceramic R188 bearing, so that surprised me because I was able to hit about 3 minutes on a two-handed table spin. Now when you look at the design like this, it's clearly not meant to be a long spinner design. It's meant to be a fidgeter, a very, very comfortable fidgeter. The weights are not thrown outwards, not thrown upwards, not going tapering outwards at all. This is really just a triangle design and a very comfortable triangle design, but to be able to hit 3 minutes for a stainless steel spinner, I think that's actually pretty cool. In my opinion, I think it's pretty darn good, I would say. So on to my final verdict of the Invader Drone, everybody. What do I think of the Invader Drone? This stainless steel version, if I'm not wrong, is about 55 USD. I know that there are different materials being offered and each material is going to be of a different price, so it's going to be quite difficult for me to kind of tell you all the prices off the top of my head. So as always, links in the video description below. I'm not sure if there are any more on sale for the Wave 3 run. Just check it out. If not, then head on to the Facebook page. I'll also put a link in the video description for that. And stay tuned for the latest updates there. I believe that John himself just updates that page and then you can get the latest information if you stay notified on the Facebook page. Now for that price, I think it's really quite worth it. In my opinion, the buttons themselves actually are gonna be like what, $20, $30? Generally, you get buttons like these for about 30 US anyway. So to have the whole entire spinner for 55, that's worth it. Plus, you have to factor in the fact that it's made in the USA. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole debate of whether or not made in USA is equivalent to better quality. No, I'm not going to say that because you guys already know my stand. But made in USA just means that it is going to be a bit more expensive in order to machine stuff out. And to have this kind of quality machining with these kind of buttons for 55, I would say good value. Really good value. So, good job to John at MPF Designs for actually being able to keep this at a very affordable price. 55 US for a stainless steel version of the Invader Drone. Really, really good. The next thing is the design. Guys, whether or not you like the design is very subjective. For me, I like this design. I think this design is cool, but it needs to have these trit slots. The upcoming Wave 3, features no slots, and I think that it loses quite a lot of character. If you have no slots, it looks just like a triangle, you know what I mean? So this is one of the spinners, kind of like the iFidget, where even if you don't put trits into your trit slots, the slots itself adds detail and character to the spinner. So it's kind of unfortunate, I mean, in my opinion personally, because obviously I'm not a designer and I don't own MPF. So, you know, John is doing whatever he wants for his business and I respect that totally. But my personal opinion is that I think that these slots are needed in terms of what makes this particular design the Invader design. So slotless looks a little bit funny, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, for example, the iFidget or the tri-fidget looks good with the trit slots, whether or not it is filled. But if we talk about, for example, the Quasar spinner by Fidget HQ, the Quasar, whether or not it's going to have trit slots or it's going to be a full solid slotless spinner, it looks good because the overall shape is like super unique. But this is basically an equilateral triangle kind of design. So, you know, I don't know, that's a personal opinion. Number two, guys, there is one detractor for me, and that is that overall this spinner feels a little bit too slippery for me. Like, it is very rounded and this is all awesome and it's wonderful, but I think that the roundness of it, yeah, the comfort and everything is really on point, but the roundness of it combined with the size of it makes it a little bit slippery. I feel like I'm not able to give it a satisfying flick at all. I've never ever once given it a very satisfying flick. I feel like I have to exert my fingers more than usual when I'm fidgeting with this, just because I don't feel anywhere that I can really kind of get a nice grip onto the body itself and then perform a powerful flick like I normally like to. So that's my opinion, guys. I think it's a very, very nice looking spinner, but in terms of the experience itself, it's not the best experience I've had, and it's quite unfortunate because I really like the design and the fact that it gets 3 minutes spins. It's really, really cool. The buttons are awesome. The overall shape is awesome. The trit stops make it look fierce. You know, it goes with the whole entire theme of its name, the Invader Drone. Looks like a triangular UFO. Machining is on point. The whole thing is all comfortable. No hot spots at all. Just very rounded. Even the buttons don't have hot spots, but it's just slippery. So that's my final verdict, guys. It's not the best spinner out there, but something that I do enjoy in terms of everything else except for the fidgeting experience. Now, fidgetability wise, like I said, it was a 7.5 out of 10. Yes, it is very fun to fidget with, but the way I fidget with spinners, I want to be able to hammer away. You know, even if I'm just flicking it like that, I want to be able to feel a satisfying flick each time. So I know that some people out there just fidget and flick, not caring about how strong of a flick you want to perform, but for me, I just want like a bam, and then fidget a little bit and then bam again. You see how that did not work out? I'm finding it a little bit hard to convey this point that I'm trying to drive across to you guys, but you know, don't let it be a detractor to you, because if this design appeals to you and if the size and everything appeals to you, guys, just go ahead, get it. I have heard nothing but good things about the Invader Drone so far. I know that a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, love the Invader Drones. So maybe it's just this particular finish, maybe because this machining finish over here is just really smooth. I'm not so sure. I like the texture, it's just slipping out of my hand and I'm not able to give it a good satisfying flick. So that's just my opinion, guys, my final verdict. And that's about it. Thank you so much for sharing this slice of my life with me. And once again, thank you Jong-un, thank you John for letting me experience the Invader Drone. I can see why a lot of people love it. I can see why. But that is just my opinion as to why I don't love it as much as they do. Don't get me wrong, I like it. I think it looks really awesome. It just doesn't have that gigantic wow factor for me. So yep, everyone, links in the video description below, and I hope that I provided enough information to help you decide whether or not the Invader Drone is a spinner for you. I think I'll end the video right there. Thanks everyone, I'll catch y'all in the next slice of my life, and Gaga Boost! Oh yeah, by the way, John was the guy that actually came up with the whole Gaga Boost thing. Yeah, I mean, I did, but John took it one step further and he made this. Gaga Boost! Oh, by the way, just some extra information for you guys. John also sells these spin stands. These are very nicely made spin stands, 3D printed, very, very well designed. And also over MPF, he provides what is known as glow tubes, which is basically a replacement for tritium slots, you know, actual trits. If you guys are looking for something that is a very, very cheap alternative that actually glows as well, you can consider getting some glow tubes from John. Yep. Links in the video description, everyone. Links in the video description.